The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres, solutions for every field. Kyle Crooks back with you on Sports Nightly, and of course joined by a very special guest, University of Nebraska System President, Dr. Jeffrey Gold. Dr. Gold, it's always good to see you. How are you? Welcome in studio.
Great to be with you today. Great to be with our audience as well.
And, of course, it's now the spring has sprung. It's getting a little warmer out there. And with that, Husker baseball and softball now into their regular seasons. You have a lot of the preseason invitational play. What are you looking forward to in the spring with a couple of really good teams?
Well, I think you said it, really, really good teams. And what I look forward to, of course, is building on the success of last year. You know, I was so confident that Coach Bolt and our Husker baseball team are looking forward to building on that continued success. And Coach Ravel has, of course, done a phenomenal job as well. You know, I look forward to seeing what Jordy does this year, and hopefully she stays healthy and can have just another spectacular year moving forward. You know, as we've talked about previously, I'm a really big baseball fan, and so I watch this really, really carefully. And, of course, the Lady Huskers are awesome.
Yeah, off to a tremendous start. And on today's segment, we're going to focus on impact. There are many conversations happening nationally about the value and impact of higher education and whether higher education is a good investment. We know that the University of Nebraska has a three-part mission: education, research, and engagement, all of which make an enormous impact on Nebraskans around the state. Let's start with education and its impact, Dr. Gold.
Sure. Well, that's an easy thing to talk about. You know, it's very straightforward to say that we have about 50,000 students, undergraduates and graduates, that we award about 11,000 degrees a year. I mean, think about that. That's 11,000, mostly Nebraskans who complete a degree program with us that go on almost all into the workforce here, into the state. But, you know, you think about it there, if you go down to some of the smaller areas, whether it's in unique business applications, teachers, medical professionals, for instance, the state has tremendous shortage areas in healthcare. You know, there are 14 counties in the state that don't have a single primary care doctor. There are about half the counties that don't have a single board-certified OB-GYN, and that has real consequences and real need for workforce development. And that's very focused area for us, because we build new programs and we expand existing programs to meet unique workforce needs. So just give you an example, staying in the medical professions for a minute. Dean Sharp McHenry went to twice-a-year admissions for the nursing programs on our campuses in order to meet what is projected to be a 5,000 nurse shortage in rural and urban Nebraska in the upcoming years. So that has literally doubled the production of nursing workforce. So we need to have the right programs at the right time.
And the University of Nebraska research is also improving lives and adding value for our state. What should our listeners know in that regard?
Yeah, so, you know, today's students, they don't want to just be surrounded by faculty who read textbooks and journal articles and present them to them in a way that's important. They want to be surrounded by faculty and by graduate students frequently who are writing the textbooks, writing the research papers, and doing the research that is really changing the world. And whether it's in the agricultural sector with precision ag and all the digital work that's going on with satellite imaging and robotics and drones and center pivot irrigation and things of that nature, or whether it's in healthcare or whether it's in engineering, you know, I'm really excited about the work that we're doing here at UNL on the microbiome. I think that work will not only enhance crop production, but will actually be able to manage disease states such as inflammatory bowel disease and others. And that work that Professor Benson is doing is being tested right now in a clinical trial up at the Med Center. And so these are, you know, these are research programs that improve lives and save lives, you know, literally on a daily basis. And by the way, when we spin off a company or we license technology, that produces revenue for the university. And so it adds to the workforce, and it adds to the economy of the state.
And we've talked about the educational and research missions of University of Nebraska's tri-part mission. Before we wrap up tonight here, what can you tell us about the impact of the university's engagement efforts?
Yeah, that's very easy to talk about because as a land-grant university, we have a responsibility to stretch across the entire state. And, for instance, we could talk about the extension centers. We have 83 extension centers that cover all 93 counties of the state. And these are areas that have everything to do with workforce development through the 4-H programs, up through the most sophisticated type of crop and cattle production research. You could look at the healthcare programs that we have that engage and provide care through telehealth or through boots on the ground locations where we're trying very hard, for instance, to make Nebraska the healthiest state in the country. And one of the ways we have to do that is we have to reduce risk, for instance, tobacco, obesity, diabetes, etc. We're doing that. And recently, the Fred and Pamela Buffett Cancer Center has partnered with our extension programs to reach out through all 83 extension centers to do cancer screening and create awareness because, we've got a lot of cancer here in the state of Nebraska. Recently, back in February, February is Heart Disease Awareness Month. I had the pleasure of participating in several, American Heart Association fundraisers. But one of the most important things that the AHA does and that we do in partnership with them is create awareness about heart disease and risk factors. And so these are all types of engagement. We have a saying that every Nebraskan has their life touched at least once every day by something the university is doing, whether they know it or not.
And I know our listeners love hearing from you. Any final thoughts as we wrap up our conversation?
Well, just to say, I'm a little over a year and a half into this role of serving as your president, and I've never been more excited and more optimistic about the future. I think from the athletic perspective, there's a lot to look forward to. I'm really looking forward to the spring game and some of the other events. I know my wife and family will be out here for all of those. What really puts the air under my wings is interacting with our students. Just a couple days ago, I had an opportunity to interact with several of the perfect ACT students. These are young women and young men who achieved a perfect 36 score on their ACT, and they're all applying here to become part of the student body next year. I mean, these are incredibly talented young men and young women who are all going to receive presidential scholarships, but they're choosing to come here. And they could go anywhere in the country. And that is just so exciting to see this program really develop into a world-class attraction for these very, very talented young ladies and young men.
Yeah, tremendous to see all the work that the university is doing on a lot of different fronts. So, Dr. Gold, thank you so much for joining us in studio.
Always a pleasure. Look forward to next time. Go Big Red.
University of Nebraska Assistant President Dr. Jeffrey Gold. We continue with Sports Nightly right after this.